Coming off the high of Sin and Punishment, it only feels natural to take a quick look at a more traditional shoot 'em up. One that packs quite the punch, even if it's only fleeting. That being RayCrisis. Released in the arcades in 1998, and eventually finding its way home in '99 on the PS1, RayCrisis serves as the third entry in the Rayz series, alongside Rayforce and raystorm respectively. Of the three games, I find RayCrisis to be the most palatable. This is no way a dig at the other games, as they're plenty serviceable, and I'm actually in the minority here, as raystorm is generally considered the favorite. But I find a few tweaks in RayCrisis give it a slight upper hand as a good jumping off point for those uninitiated. Set in the distant future, where a supercomputer has gained sentience and is now trying to take out the human race that built it, wow, that sounds oddly prophetic, you are tasked with breaking through its various stages of psyche known as layers. The further you push ahead, the more the computer fights back, as not only are you its enemy, but a virus in its system. With these rather heady themes, RayCrisis does have some neat concepts to draw from, and in doing so it creates a flashy and hypnotizing aesthetic full of synthetic computerized eye candy. That's not to say you don't end up with your typical desert or sky stages, but there is at least an attempt to branch out from the tropes. And expect to meet your match along the way in the form of many massive adversaries. As you'd hope, the shooting feels great. Spraying steady streams of lasers at oncoming foes is punchy and satisfying, especially as you garner more power-ups to blow enemies off the map. But the main gimmick that follows through the entire series is your lock-on system. Just ahead of your ship is an aiming reticle that will target enemies if hovered over them. The more you chain in one charge, the more damage is done. One of the aforementioned tweaks that sets this entry apart from the previous two is that your reticle now moves a little in the direction that you're flying to better lock onto your targets. And you must get used to it, as you'll need your lock-on to clear screens and keep the encroachment meter down. The encroachment meter being this percentage in the top right corner. It starts at 50%, and the more enemies you defeat, the lower it goes. But fail to clear enough attackers in a layer and expect to see that number climb. While shooting down the firewall of mechanized baddies, your goal is to keep that number below 50% to see the game's true ending. Fail to do so, and you'll be met with the middle or bad ending. It's a nice visual indicator of how well you're doing in each stage, and when you're riding high and wiping out leagues of ships, you'll be on the edge of your seat when your fighter goes down and the encroachment goes up. I have to mention the music in this one, as it really drives home the action at your fingertips. It's that high-energy electronica with tons of late 90s flair that you'd expect, with a good dose of drum and bass to keep things moving. Two songs I have to mention are the odd dance remix of the 60s hit Music to Watch Girls Go By, and as a fan of breakcore and drum and bass, the ship select screen with its almond break sample always perks my ears up. Now, I will admit, for as much as I enjoy this game's frenetic forays and bullet-blasting firefights, it's unfortunately a short-lived experience, taking about 20-ish minutes to see this game through to the end. On the upside, there is a second quest unlocked after beating the game, but it only changes up a single layer, leaving much to be desired. And with only 2 ships to choose from, variety isn't this game's forte. While the experience may be brief, RayCrisis does succeed in delivering a fun and intuitive shoot-'em-up experience that has enough going on to keep most engaged. The levels are interesting, the bosses are a real treat to take on, and the driving soundtrack perfectly backdrops the action, making RayCrisis well worth your time. Even more so since the entire series saw a re-release on modern consoles just last year in the form of the Rayz Arcade Chronology Collection. So even if RayCrisis may only last you 30 minutes or so, you get 2 other games with it. Or you can kick it old school and scoop up a copy of the PS1 version, which I hear is also pretty good. So if you've got a bit of time on your hands, consider giving RayCrisis a shot. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this episode, consider checking out these other videos right here, or even subscribing. Also, if you'd like to throw me a couple of bucks, you can support the show on Patreon.